The trade deadline is approaching, and there are a lot of names out there. The Boston Red Sox are a team that made a lot of moves this offseason. You bring in a guy like a Trevor Story, and for a while there, they looked like, okay, here come the Red Sox. But they have fallen on hard times in the AL East. Currently 49-49, sitting right at 500. The Baltimore Orioles actually jumped them in the standings, and they are now the last place team, 2-8 in their last 10. So you have Xander Bogaerts, who has an opt-out this offseason. I think most of the industry expects him to take that opt-out and be a free agent this offseason. If you are the High and Bloom and you're the GM of the Boston Red Sox, what do you do at the deadline with Xander Bogaerts?
Well, to me, this is a no-brainer. I think for the fact that we signed Trevor Story to that huge deal, knowing that Xander Bogaerts was probably going to opt out of his contract and go into the market because of what the market is at shortstop. He's scheduled to make $20 million if he stayed with this contract, $20 million for the next 3 years, which is a ton of money.
Yeah.
But if he goes on the free agent market, he's going to make a ton more than that. So I think it's pretty obvious what he's going to do. So yeah, I'm trading him. And I know there's a lot of teams out there that already a lot of teams that are contending already have shortstops at their positions. But there is one team that I think that is the only team out there that should even go after him, and that's the St. Louis Cardinals. This is a team that has not had a solid shortstop all year long. Yeah. Paul DeYoung hitting 103, got sent down. They brought in Sosa to play a little bit of shortstop. Yep. Tommy Edman moved over to play shortstop, but that's not his natural position. Right. So it only makes sense. All the other teams have shortstops already. It only makes sense for the Cardinals to try to make some deal.
No, I'm with that, because I think for a long time everyone's like, oh, would Trevor Story sign with the St. Louis Cardinals? They signed Paul DeYoung to that big extension after he had a really solid rookie year. It has not worked out for them. Obviously, he's still a really good defensive player, but has not been that offensively. Edmundo Sosa, like you talked about. It does make sense. Obviously, they've been rumored in the Juan Soto sweepstakes a lot here lately. Both those guys make them a really, really good. And we have our poll question: which star is most likely to be traded? You can scan the QR code or go to playtherally.com. But I'm with you. I think it makes a lot of sense if you're the Boston Red Sox. If you're going to be the last place team in the AL East, you have a guy that is likely to opt out. It is your job, and as an executive, as a GM, to, hey, you got to answer the phone, because there are a lot of teams that would like to pay you a decent prospect haul, even for a guy who is likely to be a rental and opt out in Xander Bogaerts. But it's a guy who has a 841 OPS right now, 110 hits. A really solid player. And even if you're a team with a shortstop, maybe you move him over to third base for the stretch run, and now you've really bolstered your roster.
Yeah, and you know, there's possibilities that he could go somewhere else and play third base or even play second base. I know the Astros, they have Pena as their shortstop, who's been pretty solid, but he's not the superstar. You could rent, you know, the Astros definitely could rent Bogaerts for the rest of the season, but likely not going to happen. But there's options out there. But to me, if I'm St. Louis, yes, Soto would be great to have. Ohtani on this list, who I don't think is getting traded, would be great to have. But it makes the most sense for the Cardinals to have Bogaerts at this very moment for the rest of the season.
Right, and I think Xander Bogaerts, under that current situation, is probably a lot easier to obtain than a Shohei Ohtani would. It's going to take you a haul to acquire him from the LA Angels, and I agree with you. I don't think he's going to get moved. And the package of prospects is going to take to get Juan Soto. You're going to have to wreck your farm system to get him. But I definitely think this is one of those impact bats. And you look at the landscape, if you miss out on Juan Soto, if you don't get Wilson Contreras, you're like, okay, what other bats can really impact a playoff team? And you look at a guy like a Xander Bogaerts and say, yeah, that might be the guy.
And the thing with Bogaerts, real quick, is we know his defense is solid over there, and to put him next to Nolan Arenado, you're not going to get many hits through that left side of the infield. But him in the lineup, it's more dangerous just seeing his name in that lineup than it is Edmundo Sosa. No disrespect, but like it's just a proven fact that Bogaerts has raked at this level for a long time.